God, guide us. Guide us.
I'm like, thank goddess.
Oh, goddess.
Yeah, because I like Queen Herbie. That's what I like.
Okay. So welcome to the relationship.
Oh, felling. I wrote felling. We're felling today. We're felling deeply.
I guess we are. I like the little metaphor. Felling stuck in a relationship.
Right, like you fell into a mud hole.
Seriously, right? Doesn't it feel like a muck? You're in a muck.
Well, you are, and it's usually unprocessed experience that you're in the moment. You're so overwhelmed by what you're feeling and what your interpretation and what your perception is that you want to put it outside of you. And we have a tendency. We thought you were on vacation, girl.
No, I was here. I've been here for 5 minutes.
Goodness.
What? Wow, no, you just popped up on the screen.
I was on the bottom left and it wasn't showing up.
Oh, yay, Sarah!
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong.
Felling. I misspelled felling, so it's actually feeling. Okay. So today is feeling stuck in a relationship. How do you spot patterns, and what are some of the ways to create new patterns? So how about that subject? You ready? Yay! Well, I will leave you guys to it. I couldn't remember if it was this week or.
Can we have a special guest on the show named Lucinda?
No. No.
Okay.
Why? Do you want that? Do you want that really for real? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's your guys' show.
That's why I asked. Yeah.
What about you, Miss Sarah? How do you feel about that? Since we're all on Broadcast Network
My
right
Bluetooth.
Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sarah.
Oh, she can't.
My network's not working. Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. My network isn't working.
That's okay.
You guys keep skipping.
It's all right. Just sign off and sign back on.
Darn.
Okay, so for right now, until she's ready, then when she's ready, I'll pull her back on. Okay, so let's see. Are you good, Sarah?
I don't know. It's like working and then it like skips and then everyone stops talking. I don't know.
Okay. Do you wanna sign out and sign in again?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll try it again.
And then I'll add you as soon as I see you. I'll add you back. Okay.
Sorry.
No, this is great.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
So feeling
technical errors.
Yeah. Which I think is hilarious. Hey, listen, did you want to stay on? No.
Well, it's your guys' show. I don't mind, but like I talk a lot and I'll usually take over the situation. That's just me. That's just me.
That's all of us.
Oh, okay. All right. So as long as it's all of us and you can get a word in edgewise, I'm fine. I will stay. I will absolutely stay.
That's why I asked, because it's like you always have awesome things to say.
Well, let's talk about patterns. All right. Let's talk about patterns that we find in our experience that make it difficult to navigate. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
okay. So you were talking about feeling stuck in relationship. And what I want to do is I want to get what it is that you're talking about. So if you could give us like some scenarios or analogies of what it is that you're referring to, we can spot patterns in that maybe. And then
I mean, your friends and I, we've been talking here and there about like just intimate relationships, and in those spaces of going back and forth or trying to work things out, and then at a certain point just feeling stuck and having like your own personal truth, and at the same time being in those spaces with that person and feeling like your truth goes out the window. But I also feel like that happens in friendships as well, right? Like you step away from the friendship and you have truths pop up and you're like, okay, maybe this is not for me anymore. And as soon as you get back into that bubble with the friendship, now it's like, actually, I think everything's okay. So it's like, okay, like how do you get stuck? Like how do you go from knowing your truth and then forgetting about it And I think you're right. Like there are patterns that happen where it's like, I think I can share, but one of my friends was sharing, I probably won't give too much detail, but getting into this new space and feeling a certain energy and like recognizing really quick, like, oh, this is the energy that I've been in before and I don't want to do this anymore. And she was so like fast to cut it. And I was like, that is so courageous of you. Like, I'm so proud of you. And she was like, yeah, like, I know this is no longer for me. And I was telling him, like, I can only imagine what doors are opening up because you're recognizing that that's not what you want anymore. Right? Like the pattern. So that's why I thought of the topic, because I'm like, oh, it's happening so much in my life where it's like, yeah, let's talk about it. Like, who else is going through it?
Yeah. So like, okay, so you have a friend who's going through it, but what's a personal aspect, right? So what it is for me is like, I've noticed that the more familiar we are in the relationship, we have a tendency to go to the familiar aspect of the relationship, which is a pattern. And so the pattern is a role, okay? And then we perceive how we want to fulfill that role in the relationship. And it's based on all of our experience and interpretation as to what we think this particular relationship is supposed to be. And then we take on the role and we create it. And these are things that we think should happen for our part in the relationship. But it is interpretive from like everything we've ever been given, right?
Okay. So then
that's your original or foundational pattern. And you're going to go to that pattern. You will go to that pattern in every relationship, and it is the pattern from your family. So it's your family pattern of when you were growing up, whatever role it was that you took on when you were younger. All right. That's the role that you're going to continue to use over and over and over again. So if you were the caretaker of the family, or if you had to be the mom, or if you had to be the dad, or if you were the youngest, or if you're the middle child, all of these things have connotation and energy. And so you'll take on that pattern because you'll start searching for what is familiar. And this is what that means if I'm this. And this is what that means if I'm that. And then you have plenty of input from the people in the relationship telling you what they want you to do so that so that they're comfortable. Right. I say a lot of things like this to that, but I mean, sometimes, right? Sometimes we need to recognize the pattern that we're in, where it comes from, so it's easier for us to navigate our right now and our before and what are we doing now, right?
Yeah.
Because we're making decisions from like a lot of different places, and giving ourselves understanding that we're standing and stepping into a role. That's what we're doing. We're recreating the pattern that's most familiar to us anytime we do relationship, because those are our firstly formed foundational relationships. So all the young, like when we were 3 years old and 4 years old, and we're going to Head Start, and we're learning these things, and really we're just absorbing. We're absorbing our world around us, and we're allowing it to teach us not who we are, but things we can interact with. And these are perceptions about those physical experiences. And how we perceive when we're young is, it's almost like our mind is in avarice. We can't get enough information to satisfy us. We're curious. We're going to push the no button as far as we can, the yes button as far as we can, because we have no cognitive perception, what that means to the individual who's trying to teach it to us.
Okay.
We only have our experience with that particular word. Okay. And when that word comes up, we're usually in the middle of doing something that's really fun and we don't want to stop it, but somebody is stopping us from doing that for whatever reason they have. Maybe it's unsafe. It usually is. Maybe it's unsafe. Okay. And so we're just like, what are you doing? I'm in the middle of a great experience. And then you get ripped from that experience. And all of a sudden, emotions come up and you're like, ooh, what are these? What is this? And you cry because you're overwhelmed and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just release whatever the tension is in your body so that way you can move forward and make a different decision instead of acting in the same role. Okay. So we're very based in our foundation.
So would you say that one of the ways to unbreak from those patterns and those roles is to release, is to allow yourself to feel the overwhelmness or feel, because one of the things that you mentioned is that sometimes we feel, or we get all these sources from all these different, or we get these feelings from all these different sources. So it's just to like be in it and release.
Well, think about it. Okay, think about it like this, okay? You're trying to solve something with one word, and you don't. You don't. You'll have a word, and that will create a perception, and it's going to open up several different words that will be more fractal perceptions. So all you're doing is you're right in the moment in what you are reconciling. Like you'll notice, this is my behavior in this situation. This maybe isn't how I want to show up in the future. I'm noticing that I feel diminished, that I feel less than, I feel undervalued, I don't feel as lovable as I know myself to be. And maybe those aren't questions that we're asking ourselves or noticing, but those are great questions, right?
Yeah.
And that allows you, because it allows you to know that you do have that love, that you do have that self-love, and framing questions to where you're recognizing that you already possess something you're not in connection with in that moment. That's all it is. You're just not in connection with that energy.
Well, even one of the things to add as you're saying the questions to ask ourselves, one of the things that I would love to add is like even asking ourselves, like, okay, do we feel drained? Like, do we feel like energetically drained, like mentally drained, emotionally drained? And like really to get curious with that, because it's like, oh, is it yours? Or can you go back to what you were saying of, or is that like the pattern that you're falling into with this friendship or this partner or whoever this is with? I'm assuming
everything's very collaborative. Everything is very energetically collaborative because we're one consciousness. So in this oneness, and when we pull ourselves into that understanding to where we discreate separation, we feel more at home, more in alignment, more resonant with our experience. When we create the separations, we are reforming and creating new perceptions so that way we're having broader experiences. When we're in a familial pattern, there's so much layering, of roles. Oh, you're her younger sister? Whoa, what does all that mean? What does that mean? Right? Oh, you're the baby. Oh, you're the baby. Oh, you're the middle child. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, your parents drank. Your parents drank. Oh, yeah. Because all of us, everybody on the planet has experienced it in one way, shape, or another. And we see these patterns. How do you break out of those patterns? Contrary action. So if you're
doing the opposite, right?
That's right. So if you are auto-accommodating because that's how you've been raised, to where, so for me, if my dad needed a drink, I would watch my grandmother watch his glass, and she would time food to be like when he would replenish his glass, and it was so well timed. It was just so well timed. And it's like the perfect servitude and etiquette that I was raised with. This is how you serve a meal. This is how you put it together. All right. But I didn't realize the pattern that was being created was showing me that I had to be attending everybody and monitoring them in such a hyper aspect, right? That there's no me in the valuation. There's no me. It isn't, well, what do you want to do in this situation, Lucy? It's like, oh, did you see that? How that glass is getting empty right there? Do you see how you have to pick up those plates right there? And that's just one meal, right? And so like we see these patterns and we replicate these patterns because they make sense to us, because we're shown them when we're absorbing, right? So we'll repeat the patterns because they work. Then one day the patterns won't work the way we would like them to, and that's because we have added spiritual understanding. So now we might not like that pattern. That pattern might be bringing us detriment.
Well, there might be a lot of growth, right, within those situations. Because I've been in spaces with friendships where, again, noticing a pattern, whatever, and it's like, oh, wait, I don't want to be here in this space anymore. Like,
right.
Need X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And sometimes it, like, how the way that you're explaining it, or the way that comes to mind is like you're in this roller coaster, and at some point you're like, I'm done with this roller coaster.
Right. But the thing is that it's all internal.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily the other person's behavior. The other person's behavior is going to host an energy that's going to make you reevaluate something that you believe. That's what's happening. People call it triggers, but your cellular memory is like, wait, we're holding this belief and you're telling us it's about to change. We're not very comfortable with that. We're going to resist that because we know this to be true. Now you're going to receive another truth, right? And this other truth is going to challenge the other truth. And it doesn't mean that this one goes away. It means it's bigger. You get more.
Okay.
Because you become more. So when you were talking about releasing, letting go, right? Really what we're letting go of and what we're releasing is the focus of the truth that we're holding in that moment. So we're letting go of that and we're saying, okay, you could be one perception. I can bring another perception in. Now I have two standards that I can operate with. And is there another? Let's see. Let's get another perception in here. There has to be more choice in this situation. Okay. And when you talk to yourself that way, you're allowing yourself to be in charge of you, right? But also you're giving yourself permission to make decisions, right? That allows you to be the authority in your life. And those are things, when we fall into roles, we're not the authority. We are the player, the actor. We're not in our truth or our authenticity. We're creating a role. Yeah, it's by rote. It's something we naturally do. We just fall right into it. It's like driving, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I know you just said it, but I'm going to say it again just to reiterate that I got it. So what you've expressed is we play these roles, and it sounds like when we play these roles, we lose our own empowerment or our own power.
We don't lose anything. We don't lose anything. That is our power. So we are allowing what we have gathered as far as information to create a level of comfort in our actions, thoughts, and feelings, body, mind, and spirit. Okay.
So
exactly.
Situations.
Exactly. And then one day yelling isn't going to work anymore. Yeah. All right. You'll get tired of it. Your circumstance will get tired of it. And then it'll be devastating that yelling doesn't work anymore. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, well, I gotta think around. I have to do something else. So not yelling, but not the silent treatment. So that means, are you going into action? Now you're creating a pattern, a different pattern than yelling. Now you're going into an actionable state. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that kind of a transition, but you're allowing it to be a direct opposite of energetic practice. That takes you out of the pattern and puts you into choice. And when you get in choice, you get to be more observational of your experience. You're not attached emotionally. So you're not overwhelmed in feelings trying to decide what's going on. You get to allow yourself to be important in your decision, right? Well, what would I like? What's going to be best for me?
Yeah.
And how is that going to affect the people around me? Okay? Because the reason you need to do that is because you're soundboarding your fears. You're soundboarding your fears when you say, how is that going to affect the people around me? Okay. You're soundboarding your own self fears. Okay. And when you look at them, you are reconciling any kind of disturbances that you might have energetically. You're reconciling them in that moment. You say, well, my mom might feel like this. And can I bless her and let her have her own experience and still have mine? Yes.
Yeah.
My dad might feel like this if I tell him that I'm a lesbian, right? And so
Yeah.
if I come out, he might have certain feelings and it could impact him easily, right? But
Yeah.
I still want to let people know I'm a lesbian. Not like I want to broadcast it, but I want to live openly. I want to live wholeheartedly and be who I am, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to think about how I want to construct a conversation with this individual. But first, I have to know me,
Yeah.
okay? And
Yeah.
not go through a bunch of scenarios to where, like, well, what if he says this? What if he says that? What if this happens? What about that? It
I
isn't
love that
so
because it goes back to the connection with yourself. Like,
exactly. Like, how comfortable am I being open in this desire? Because
yeah.
because when you go back to your family roles in all of your situations, that is the last frontier that you're changing, because that's the earliest conditioning that you've received. So yeah, so you're just trying your best not to have separation, because it really doesn't matter if you're lesbian or not. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't want to lose your love. That's really what the conversation is. I don't
Yeah.
want to lose your love.
Your validation. I don't want to lose like our connection, the community that we have, even if it's like within the family. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
really good.
there's lots of different things that we sit with energetically, and it usually is in contrast to what we're experiencing, but that's because we're investigating the energy of why we have resistance. And that is because we're shifting our belief to become a greater perspective. We're adding something to it.
Okay. Okay. We're adding something to it. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. We're
Right.
shifting. Yeah.
Exactly. So if
Yeah.
you're looking at an orange tree, let's say you're in a citrus grove, okay, a
Mhm.
citrus grove, and there's all kinds of citrus trees there, all types, all right, and you're looking at the orange tree specifically, the navel orange tree, and you keep thinking to yourself, wow, this is a beautiful orange grove, a
Mhm.
beautiful orange grove, and that's not what it is. It's a citrus grove. But your interpretation, because all you're seeing is the oranges, is that it's an orange grove. It isn't until you turn and let go of that focus and you look at the lemon tree that you go, wow, what a
Mhm.
beautiful lemon tree. It isn't because the orange tree disappeared.
Yeah. So again,
So
it's just like myth.
your focus is now on the lemon. See, every experience we have ever had is us.
I have a question
Everything.
for that, right? Like, I have a lot of questions.
I love you. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, even for
I love you.
I love you too. So people
Okay,
who are
Nereyda, let's do this. Okay.
listening and like they're questioning, what about like the people who maybe are aware of like, okay, I just have to like move my neck and see the difference. But what about when there's fear for those
That is so
people?
that fear, that's what I was talking about. Everybody thinks fear is like bad, but it's an
No,
indication
yeah.
that stuff is shifting and you're not in alignment with it yet.
Okay. Okay. Because I know I would suggest like, oh, get curious with the fear. Like, okay, like you can't move your head yet and be curious about the tree or the differences, but be curious with your fear. Like, okay, like why is there fear? Like what pops up for you?
hmm sometimes great questions for me when it is in regard to an energy that I am unwilling, or I'm not wanting to investigate. Okay.
Okay.
So sorry. Allowing myself to investigate something that I'm resistant in, I'm only going to pull in more resistant understanding. So I'm not going to investigate it. What I'm going
Oh,
to do is, right? Because I'm
okay.
not going to keep pulling it toward me, because it's already representing confusion to me. So if it's representing confusion or chaos, I don't want it to come in further,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's fear. It's fear. Fear is letting me know that something's going to change right in that moment. And I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. That's it. I'm just not ready for it. If I am in oh my God, I can't believe that happened, and I'm in shock and I have a blank mind, then I had no knowledge whatsoever that was going to take place. It blew my mind. Everything's gone. Wow. That is a total energetic and electrical reset in your body. It's total. All right. And it doesn't happen all the time. It happens so rarely, it is ridiculous. How many times have you been in a conversation? How many times have you been in a relationship to where you're like, oh, damn, I knew that was going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're in the awareness of the energy that we share, and you might perceive their feelings or their thoughts. Okay.
I see that.
And it doesn't mean that they have to take action in those feelings and thoughts. It merely means that they have those vibrations of capability available to them because through experience, they have experienced it. Sensory, right? Through their skin and their visceral nervous system. And then they've stored it to create and recreate the vibe. So it reminds them, hey, this is what happens when we get too close to this vibration. It feels like maybe we shouldn't go further because what happened when we were 3 years old. When you're 3 years old and you're interpreting something, you're going to make a construct mostly out of fear, and you're going to push away whatever it is that you need to, so that way you don't have to, what we would call today, deal with it. Okay. But really what you're doing is you're pushing it to the furthest reaches of your awareness. And because you're in such connection to it, it doesn't matter how far you push it away because there's no space or time. There's none. So you're extending your focus, and your focus is still that. And so until you say, oh, look at that beautiful blah, blah, blah. See how I let go of it? You can tell the difference in the energy. So when fear comes up, for me, it's merely my belief system being challenged as it is. Okay. And something is going to happen to change that. There's a physical aspect of what I'm experiencing that's going to change that. It doesn't make all fear wrong. All fear is right. It helps us navigate our world, right?
Yeah.
Pain is a great motivator. Pain's a great motivator for change, right?
We're confusing too, right? Because I think for me, what happens is like I get a little confused in my heart. And then again, like it's a little scary because I know what's going to come. Right? Like it's scary. And again, you're saying I'm not afraid of the fear, but I know what fear brings. Like I know what the confusion brings. And knowing, kind of like that intuitive knowing, but also looking back at my life and recognizing that same feeling is like, oh, okay, here it comes. Here comes the star. You know, like be ready.
Yes. And we're meant to, so because the energy always represents two, okay? It has negative and positive. So you're going to have both in every experience. Maybe you won't have a lot of negative in that experience, but you'll have a shit ton of positive in that experience. But you will have experienced both. And in different increments throughout your life, you have been in the depths of hell, all right? And you've been in the heights of heaven. And that is the pendulum swing of universal energy. That's all that is. Ebb and flow. Ebb and flow. And when you learn that you can pull in more of what you would like to experience through dialing your body in to be the signal, through like emotions, feelings, thoughts, then your life starts to take on a different pattern. Okay. Because now you become selective. You're your pattern. So now you know when something comes to you, it's like, oh, I don't know. That's not my pattern right now. Is this going to enhance like what I'm doing, or is this going to diminish who I am? All right.
Okay.
And you could just tell by how you start talking to yourself about it.
Okay. Again, being mindful of like your thoughts and like where you're at.
I
Yeah.
say things like this in my head. Fuck that shit. I'm not doing that. I don't feel like doing that. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to do. Oh shit, here I am. Okay, I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how my head is. That's how
Yeah.
my head is. It's exactly like that. I won't lie and say, oh yeah. So when I have like a challenge that comes, it's super easy for me to show up to it. And I just go like this. Okay, magic wand, just tell me, I'm being cleared right now. Spirit's clearing me. Okay, magic wand, tell me, am I the dick in this case? Yes, of course you are, because you're involved. Okay, great, thanks. Good talk.
Well, I think part of that too is like being human, right? Like the part where it's like, fuck this shit. I really feel like that's part of our humanity.
Oh yeah. Just recognizing that you're having an experience. That is it. We're having an experience, and they're going to be shit experiences, and they're going to be great experiences. My experiences in my life, some of them would be horrendous for people. They're so traumatic. Yet, because of the amount of understanding and acceptance that I have surrendered to, I don't have to fight to not be me anymore. I can be me, and I'm okay now. So that's for me, that is what has really cleared up my existence, is allowing me to be authentic and just be me. I'm very aware of my surroundings when I'm with like on the show right now. I'm very aware of how we're having our interaction, of how we are putting our message out there. And I'm doing it from my heart because I know a lot of it's channeled. So when I do it from my heart space, my center of as above, so below, I'm in harmony. I'm in harmony with what I said I would do, what I came into connection, the universe to do, right? And then I can make decisions from here all day long. It's not because I'm some spiritual guru. It is because I am me. I am authentically me. So that is it. That's the name of the game. That's what we're all here to do, is to be authentically us, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets easier. But it's a state of being. When we're 4 and 5 years old, we get asked a question that I think really hurts us for the rest of our life. And it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I answered happy, and they said, no.
But you can't. Yeah.
No. We mean, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? And I was
like what you're
what's doing? And every time I got older and I kept playing that question, it was like, maybe I should have answered it like this when I was 5 years old. I'm not sure how much debt incurrence is there. What does my school tuition look like? What are the prestigious Ivy League schools that I should go to if those are the determinations that I'm making at 5 years old? And then how long will it take me to pay off that student debt? Right? Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I believe that even when you start asking kids like those questions, it's like now you start to tell them what they should be, even if they don't come up with an answer. But it's like you're already telling them, oh, that they have to live their life, and it stays with them.
You're transferring your energetic desire to them of lack that you're feeling because you didn't get to.
Yeah, I remember being a kid, right, and like doing my homework, and I've always been the kid to do homework, like love school stuff. But I remember being a kid and doing my homework, and my mom having this like talk of, yeah, you better do your homework because you're going to be the one taking care of us when we're older. And it's
I got that a lot.
Yeah, but it's like I could feel it came up like during COVID, where when she started saying that narrative, the pressure was on. We're like, I really have to be successful now. Even though I didn't know what it was at that age, it was like, I know it equates to money, like whatever that looks like.
Right. It has to be about money. Money is success, right?
But
you're like,
no. I noticed the shift of it being like, oh, I'm curious about school and like learning to like, oh, now I have to perform. for money. Yeah. Like now this means something. It's not just my curiosity.
Right?
No. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, feelings.
Right?
Yeah, like FYI.
Mhm, yes. Gosh, well, this has been a great talk. I
Yes,
really
that's great.
appreciated the time.
Yeah,
And I thought that, so our Sarah is going on vacation, and we thought that she would not be here. And then she had trouble signing in, but she is determined.
I love it. I totally
Yes.
love it.
And so I know that she really wanted in on this talk. I think this is a great subject for you guys. Things like this is really good.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll talk about
You
it.
guys articulate it so well. I love listening to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll ask her if she's down to
Thank
do
you.
this too, and we'll have a
Thank
conversation.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so I love you, Nereyda, and
Thank
peace
you.
and blessings to everybody else who was here. All right. Thank you very much for